There is a boy in the photographs. He is 10 years old. He stands between his parents, smiling. He is small, smaller than other boys his age. His face is narrow, his skin pulled thin across his cheekbones. His eyes are large and bright. And his eyes are the oldest thing about him. His name was Sammy. By the time he was 10 years old, his body had already begun aging at roughly 8 times the normal human rate. His arteries were hardening. His joints were stiffening. The layer of fat beneath his skin, the soft tissue that gives a child's face its roundness, was disappearing. His heart was carrying the burden of a man in his 60s. Sammy Basso was born in Saccio, Italy, in 1995. He was diagnosed with Progeria at the age of 2. And he would go on to become the longest living survivor of that disease in recorded human history. A scientist, a writer, an advocate, a friend to hundreds, a man who was once invited to speak at the San Remo Music Festival, who got a personal phone call from the Pope, and who made a molecular biologist at Harvard cry by simply walking into a room. He died on October 5, 2024. He was 28 years old. This is the story of what it means when the body forgets how to be young. The science. To understand what happened inside Sammy's body and inside the bodies of everyone who carries what medicine calls a progeroid syndrome, you have to go very small. Smaller than a cell. Smaller than a chromosome. Down to a single letter in a single gene in a sequence of 3 billion. Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome, the condition Sammy had, is caused by a point mutation in a gene called LMNA. One nucleotide in one position out of 3 billion is wrong. A cytosine where a thymine should be. That's it. That's the entire difference between a normal lifespan and one that compresses 80 years into 14. The LMNA gene is responsible for producing a protein called lumen A. Lumen A is structural. It forms a scaffold around the nucleus of every cell in the body, giving it shape and stability. Without it, the nucleus becomes unstable. The cell cannot divide properly. DNA damage accumulates. The cell ages. Rapidly, relentlessly, without the normal repair mechanisms that keep aging at bay. The result in a child's body is something medicine has no precise analog for. Cardiovascular disease at 7. Osteoporosis at 9. Atherosclerosis, the hardening of arteries that usually takes a lifetime of eating and stress to develop, present and advancing by age 10. The average life expectancy for a child with classic progeria is 14.5 years. Without treatment, nearly 75% die of heart attack or stroke before they reach their teens. And yet, the mind is untouched. This is the detail that medicine notes in every paper, every case study, every clinical review, almost as an aside. Cognitive development, normal. Intelligence, unaffected. Personality, curiosity, humor, the full interior life of a person, all of it intact. The body ages at 8 times the normal rate. The person inside it does not. Adult progeria, the silent version. Now consider something stranger still. There is a second form of this disease. Less famous, less dramatic in its early presentation, but in many ways more disorienting. It is called Werner syndrome. Adult progeria. Children with Werner syndrome develop normally. They go to school. They make friends. They grow up or begin to. And then, somewhere around puberty, the growth stops. Not dramatically. Quietly. They simply don't get taller after 13 or 14. No adolescent growth spurt. No final stretch. And then, in their early 20s, something begins to shift. Their hair starts going gray. Not at the temples, everywhere, all at once. Within a few years it falls out. Their skin tightens over their hands, their feet, their face. It pulls and hardens, like leather left in the sun. Their voice changes, becomes hoarse, high-pitched, thin. Cataracts cloud both eyes in the late 20s. Ulcers appear around the ankles that will not heal for months. Type 2 diabetes arrives with no warning in a person who weighs 110 pounds. The heart begins to deteriorate. A documented case from 2019 describes a 29-year-old man, Iraqi, non-obese, no known risk factors, who presented to a clinic complaining of uncontrolled diabetes. The doctors ran their tests. His coronary arteries were blocked in 3 places. He needed bypass surgery. He was 29. His triglycerides were 3,900 milligrams per deciliter, roughly 10 times what would trigger urgent concern in an elderly patient. His legs were so severely affected by arterial disease that despite multiple surgeries, he eventually required amputation. The doctors who wrote up his case noted the diagnostic challenge. Werner syndrome affects roughly 1 in 100,000 people globally. The average age at diagnosis is 37. By then, the damage has been compiling for 15 years. 15 years of a body aging in silence, while the person inside it lived a life. Sammy. Back to Sammy. Because Sammy Basso is not simply a case study. He is a refutation of everything we assume about what a life with this disease must look like. In 2014, at the age of 19, Sammy traveled the entire length of Route 66, Chicago to Los Angeles, through the American heartland, with his parents and his best friend Ricardo. He wrote a book about it. He filmed a documentary for National Geographic. He stopped at Monument Valley, where a Navajo guide gave him a name in the Navajo language, Chanhagagiai. It means person who has a long way to go. He enrolled at the University of Padua. He studied physics first. His dream was to work at CERN. Then he switched to molecular biology because he had decided to research his own disease. He graduated with honors. He earned a master's degree. He joined the gene editing research team at the Progeria Research Foundation as a core scientist, working on CRISPR-based approaches to treating the very mutation that was destroying his cardiovascular system. He signed every email with the same sign-off, with a big hug, Sammy. Francis Collins, the former director of the National Institutes of Health, one of the most accomplished geneticists in American history, worked alongside Sammy in his final years. After Sammy died, Collins said, "We all knew that Sammy had a terrible circumstance that was not going to allow him to live a full life. But he was so vibrant. He was so alive. He was so engaged. I was so stunned." Sammy himself described progeria as a small part of my life because it only affects the body. He lived twice as long as most people with his condition. He never let the disease define what he was allowed to want. He had friends who say the first thing anyone remembers about him was his jokes, his laughter. His jokes, his smile, and his love in that order. He collapsed at a gathering with his friends. The day before, he had been actively communicating, making plans. He died the way he lived, among people who loved him, in the middle of something. What these diseases tell us. Here is why the medical and scientific communities study progeria with an intensity that goes far beyond the number of people it affects. There are, as of December 2025, only 156 known children worldwide with classic Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome. And yet research into their condition fills journals, attracts funding from Harvard, the NIH, the Broad Institute, and dozens of universities. Because what progeria does, at accelerated speed, in miniature, is show scientists exactly what normal aging does to all of us. The genetic mutation in progeria produces a toxic version of lumen A called progerin. Here's the striking discovery that came out of research into Sammy's disease. Progerin is not unique to progeria patients. It is produced in tiny amounts, gradually, in every aging human cell. All of us make progerin. Children with progeria make it faster and in vastly greater quantities. But the mechanism is the same. Werner syndrome tells a parallel story. The WREN gene, when mutated, causes cells to lose the ability to maintain their telomeres, the protective caps at the end of chromosomes that shorten each time a cell divides. Telomere shortening is the closest thing biology has to a biological clock. Werner syndrome accelerates it dramatically. Research published in 2019 showed that the epigenetic signatures of Werner syndrome appear early in life. They are distinct from normal aging, but studying them in detail has helped scientists map the molecular pathways of normal senescence. These children are not victims of some alien process. They are running the same biological program the rest of us run, just faster. In 2020, the FDA approved a drug called lonafarnib, the first ever drug approved specifically to treat progeria. Sammy Basso was among the first clinical trial participants as a child. It doesn't cure the disease, but it extends life expectancy by an average of 2.5 years. In a disease where the average lifespan is 14, 2.5 years is not nothing. It is everything. The close. Sam Burns was an American boy with progeria who died at 17 in January 2014. His TED Talk, recorded just weeks before he passed, has been watched over 53 million times. In it, he describes his philosophy for a happy life. It is not a philosophy about disease. It is a philosophy about not wasting what you have on worrying about what you don't. He and Sammy Basso, 2 boys, 2 countries, the same disease, never met in person. But they were part of the same world. The same small, fierce, irreplaceable community of people who understood what it meant to live without the luxury of a long timeline. Werner syndrome patients live, on average, into their late 40s or early 50s. They spend 20 years building careers, relationships, families, while their bodies quietly compile decades of damage. Many are diagnosed only after they've had a heart attack in their 30s. And in between the diagnosis and the devastation, Sammy Basso spent his life refusing to be defined by a disease that was racing to end it. If his story moved you, and I hope it did, please subscribe. Next time we go back to the unexplained, a case the FBI spent years investigating that medicine still can't fully explain. Drop a comment below. Had you heard of progeria?